Hello, welcome. All right, for everyone who is logging on, if you'd like to go ahead and drop in the chat where you are tuning in from, that's always fun to see. As people are starting to join. We'll get started in just a moment. I'm just going to let a few more people join here. Okay, wonderful. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Zoe Friesen. I'm the events manager here at Book Larder, a community cookbook store in Seattle, Washington. We sell cookbooks and food writing exclusively. And we have begun doing some more in-person events as of late, but we are very excited that we can also still offer these wonderful Zoom conversations and virtual author talks, so we can really connect with the folks from all over. You know, this talk is a perfect example. We've got Ashia in New Zealand, we've got Ally in Colorado, and you all that are joining us from all over as well. Just very fun. So thank you so much for tuning in and for being here. This talk is being recorded and it will be posted on YouTube within about a day or two. So if you do have to log off and you want to catch the end, you can always catch it there. You can share it with your friends and all that good stuff. The live transcript is on this evening. You can control that. There's a button at the bottom of your screen, so you can hide that from view if you don't want to see it, or you can turn the view on if you would like to see that, if that's helpful for you. So we are here today to celebrate this beautiful book, Ashia's Table. Very excited to welcome Ashia Ismail-Singer to discuss it. She will be in conversation with Ally Phillips, a food blogger and author as well. So they will be chatting all about the book, and they will also be leaving some time for Q&A. So if you do have questions that you'd like to ask, go ahead and type those in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen there, and we will definitely make sure that we get to those. You can also support the talk by purchasing a copy of this beautiful book, Ashia's Table, from our online shop, and I will be dropping the link to that in the chat. And thank you to those of you that have done that already. We very much appreciate it. So without any further ado, I will go ahead and turn things over to Ashia and Ally.
Okay,
Hi.
we are. Hi, Ash, are you here?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I can, and I can see you, you beautiful girl.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this, Ally. And thank you so much to Book Larder for hosting us.
Yes, yes. I feel very honored to do this and to have connected with you over social media a few years ago. And we share a lot of the same passions.
We do.
So, yeah. And your book, Ash, is absolutely stunning. In fact, it's kind of like a coffee table book for me. It's so beautiful. I love the spine.
Yes.
Anyway, you know, in opening the book, when I got it, you know, I looked at the first part, which was all about your history, your family. I love the pictures. I feel like I know your mom and dad and people in your family, and you've lived all over the world. So kind of a Cliff Note edition, how has your global living shaped this cookbook?
Wow. Okay. So yeah, I mean, this is amazing. So connecting with you, obviously, Ally from Colorado, and I'm here in New Zealand, and obviously Book Larder in Seattle. So I just love that. But yeah, I actually grew up in Malawi in Africa. And I'm from a family of 6, so my mum and dad, and I've got 3 sisters. I'm a twin, and I've got 2 younger sisters, and we just grew up being surrounded by food. Mum and dad were always entertaining, so that's how we grew up. But later on, obviously you can read my story in my book, but later on in our sort of early teenage years, we moved to the UK because politically Malawi was quite unstable. So we moved to the UK, and then I went off to study fashion design, and then a few things happened and I kind of didn't feel like I could do fashion. So I then decided that I wanted to study nursing and help people and travel. And I ended up coming to New Zealand. So when I came to New Zealand, I was completely on my own, so with no family around. Really missed my family cooking. So that's when the real passion came in to reinvent those beautiful dishes that I grew up with and that my mum made. So that's how Ashia's Table came about.
Well, it's a beautiful story, and you married a Kiwi, right?
I did. So
and
24 years ago, well, 24 years now, yeah. So 25 next year.
And now he's inundated with your wonderful heritage and food from your growing up. So,
Yeah.
and the kids, you got older kids, and they grew up with these recipes.
Yeah, so one of my reasons for doing this book was that I married a New Zealander, and obviously I've got an Indian heritage, and and my kids are mixed race, so I didn't want them to miss out on my my side of their upbringing. So it's such a colorful and vibrant culture. And the food is amazing, and I just didn't want them to miss out. So I thought, what better way to leave a legacy than to put all those beautiful recipes in a book so that they can refer to that and see my journey and part of their history. So yeah.
Well, it's a huge gift to them, and I know it's a lot of work, having done a cookbook myself. So my hat's off to you, because I don't know how you work as a nurse 4 days a week and have a family, and you've also got a second cookbook coming. So girl, I want to know what you're taking and eating, because I want some of it.
Thank you, Ally. Yeah, look, it's a passion. It's a passion. And if you have a passion, you want to do everything you can to get your passion out there. And I felt that my story was so reachable. There are so many of us all over the globe that have left their hometowns or their home countries and have settled somewhere else. And I felt that, it would be important to share that side of it as well. We're just such a cultural global world, aren't we? And the food that we eat,
we are, and I always say our common DNA is food. Anytime I travel or go anywhere, if I'm sitting next to a stranger on an airplane, a conversation can come up, and it always goes to food. So it is a common bond that we all share, and we're always learning. One thing I love about your book is that you put right in the beginning your pantry essentials. It's like, okay, before you even can make any of my recipes, you better have these 19 things. And when I opened it, I went, oh my gosh, let me go to my pantry and see how many I have. And I had 17 of the 19. So help us understand, because I do a lot of global cooking too, but help us understand why this was important for you to include in this book, Ashley.
Okay. So the Pantry Essentials are, and one of the reasons why I did write the book was I kind of wanted my Indian food to be accessible. Now, you'll probably appreciate India. I've actually never been to India, I might add. My heritage is Indian, My grandparents came from India, but they went to Africa. So although I've got Indian heritage, I've never been there. So, but again, I think you might appreciate India is a very populated country. It's a big country. There's different styles of cooking. There's the South Indian cooking, the North Indian cooking, and my background was Gujarati. So from the West in the Gujarat, and there was a lot of Persian influence there because, when you look back at history, Persians settled there during, the earlier centuries. And it was those pantry essentials that then have developed into the, food that we do now. But my main thing was that I wanted the pantry essentials not to be frightening to people, so I didn't want people to look at the book and say, oh my God, I don't have any of these in my pantry. So things that I've included in there are staples that you can actually buy in supermarkets and local supermarkets, and the few things that you can't, you could probably source from a specialist store. But most things are readily available, and that was the important thing. I wanted things to be readily available so that people can access the food and my recipes without worrying about, oh my God, where am I going to get this from?
Right,
So,
right. And yeah, for those of listening in, a lot of these 19 are things that you already have in your pantry, like cloves, garlic, ginger, tomatoes, paprika, things like that. I did not have the Kashmiri chili, nor did I have the Indian chili powder, but I would imagine you could substitute, Ashley, something that was similar.
Yeah, you can. So, yeah, I mean, and you can also get them from specialist stores. So, it's not difficult to source, but cardamom, turmeric, cumin, all those things are readily available in most supermarkets. So, that was my key thing for the book, was that it was, easy access to the recipes.
Or you could go to Amazon, and Amazon has everything. So if you can't find the garam masala, then just order it from Amazon. What I love about this is that you're taking everyday ingredients like a can of baked beans, and then you're elevating them to this exquisite Indian dish. What do you want people to experience when they taste this food and when they're preparing it, Ash?
So this is what Ally's referring to. So this is
it's delicious. It almost reminds me of a shakshuka. I looked at it and I went, oh my gosh, I am so making that.
Oh gosh, it's just one of those. And to be honest, so these are just simple old baked beans that you can get in a can. And what I love about this dish, and this is the way I grew up eating baked beans. So there's a little bit of oil in there. There's you put in fry some onions, and you you fry the onions, and then you put the baked beans in there with some spices. So not a huge amount of spices. So you've literally only got chili powder, a coriander, cumin. You can put paprika instead of chili powder, and literally takes minutes to make, perfect with your eggs. And oh my God, you will not eat baked beans any other way once you've tried this. And
it looks absolutely, I mean, I was salivating when I looked at the picture, and then, I read the ingredients because I cook with a lot of those, and I thought, gee, why didn't I think of doing this with baked beans? I mean, Because here in the U.S., you know, baked beans are usually brown sugar, molasses, onions, mustard, but
Yeah.
they don't have all of these other spices that you're adding to them. And it did remind me a lot of shakshuka, and I love that. So I just break off big hunks of bread, Ash, and just dip in there and get those beans and the egg yolk, and
yeah, yummy. And I think one of the reasons for including, so in my book, you know, you've got those simple things like the masala baked beans, but then I've got the traditional things like, you know, my mum's beautiful chicken biryani, or my, you know, I've included all my family's favorites. So, you know, my sister, my twin sister, Anjum, her spicy roast potatoes. Oh my God, they're amazing.
Oh my gosh, that one was amazing too. Yes. I cannot wait to start cooking these things.
Yeah. And you know, things like the dals, there's a couple of dals in there. And and one of the things that I love putting together for this book, and one of these other things is this here. It's a roast leg of lamb. But before you roast, and it's slow, you know, slowly roast, but before you roast it, you marinate it in all these beautiful spices. And so it's a mixture of East and West. And I did do the same with the, you know, with the roast chicken. So it's basted in a chili spice. So what I've done with the book is that I've used my heritage, but also mixed it with a lot of West, because that's how I grew up. So my mum was fusion cooking back in the 70s, before fusion cooking was a thing, you know. So she was mixing the East and the West, and that's how I've grown up. And I thought, well, why not share this with the world, you know? So yeah, there's some beautiful traditional recipes in there, but then there's a lovely, you know, array of food that you can put your own twist to it. So,
and that's what's so amazing about this cookbook. When you look at the gorgeous photography, the pictures, I mean, you just start salivating, and this is right up my alley. I love, you know, your style. I can see why you were in design, because the plating, the layout, everything is just, it's a work of art. But you're right. The world is shrinking, and we're all coming together, and we're sharing our foods and cultures and heritages, and we're making, you know, different foods, global foods, our own, whether you live in the hollers of Appalachia, or London, or New Zealand, or wherever. And that's the magic of Ashia's Table. Okay, let me ask you this. Here's what I want to know. Okay, so I do a lot of entertaining. And if I want to have 6 dinner guests over, okay, I want you to use your book. I want to cook everything from your book. What now, I can't take all day to do it, Ash. So you gotta give me the you know, the short versions of things. But what kind of layout would I have to have a really authentic Indian meal for my guests?
Yeah,
I'm going to take notes as you talk. Go ahead.
So one of the things that I love starting with, and it's a real conversation starter, is this dish here. It's called Panipuri.
What page is it on? Page, give me a page.
Page 33.
33, okay.
33. So Panipuri is a beautiful dish that is a real conversation starter. So I would do this when I'm inviting people over, and I'd, you know, we'd have drinks, and then we'd chat, and I'd have this on the table on a lovely platter. And it's little crispy dough balls that are, well, they're little crispy, a bit like roti, if you know roti or chapati, but they're fried, and they puff up, and then you make a little hole in them. And there's a recipe on how to actually make them in the book as well. Okay. And then you make a little hole in them, and then you fill them with whatever you want. So you can, these are filled with a spicy potato filling, but you can use little, we call them prawns, but little shrimps. And you can, make a little shrimp, filling and fill that. And then you would make a tamarind chutney or whatever chutney you wanted. Just a little bit of that, a little spot of yogurt, and some cilantro, as you call it. We call it coriander. Sprinkle that on top, and it's just a little taste bomb in your mouth. It's amazing.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I
love that.
I would start with that. Then I would probably go to, I'm just looking through my book here. If you're time poor, and you want to entertain, I would suggest making a couple of the small, the slow cooked curries. So there's a gorgeous slow cooked lamb curry on page 94. So I would put that on in the morning, ready for, and then it'd be ready for when your guests arrived.
Right.
That would be amazing. Again, with beautiful spices and some rice to follow. So there's, again, in the book, I've got as an accompaniment, there's different types of rice. So I've got my dad's famous basmati rice here, which is beautiful and really easy to make.
What page is that on, Ash?
That's on page 136.
Okay.
Yeah, or you can make the saffron rice that I've got on there, and that's on page 143. So again, a little touch of saffron, just
right.
Yeah, so you would do that. So you'd serve it with rice, and then make a couple of raitas or chutneys. So you've got your cucumber raita or a mango raita, just to accompany that, which is beautiful. So again, that's on page 167. And then, to finish off, there's a little section. So again, what I've done with my sweets. So there's a section in the book called, A Touch of Sweetness. And this is a mixture of beautiful East and West desserts. So, they are sticky date caramel or sticky date cake with a caramel sauce, or chocolate cardamom puddings.
I love the cardamom shortbread cookies.
Oh
my gosh, those look so good.
They're perfect at the end of the day, at the end of the meal, sorry, with a cup of tea or a coffee or something.
Yes.
But one of my favorites, which again is just so easy to make, is this one here. It's called Gulab Jamun, and it is on page 196. And if you talk to anyone from the Indian subcontinent and you ask them about Gulab Jamun, and they will say to you that is one of their favorite things to eat. And it's little dough balls that are fried until they're golden. And then they are
dough balls. It sounds like hush puppies in South Carolina. Little
sort of donutty type.
Yes.
But you put them in a cardamom. Once you've fried them, you put them in a cardamom and saffron sweet syrup, and they puff up, they plump up. And you serve them with a bit of mascarpone or some thickened cream. Oh my God.
My God.
There's dinner. It's there's some beautiful recipes in there that are as easy as you want them to be, or as tricky as you want them to be. I mean, to be honest, there's not very many tricky recipes in there, but
no. And that was the really beautiful thing about this cookbook, is that I went through every recipe. I read every ingredient, and I scanned down the directions, and I went, dang, that's not hard. That sounds good. I could do that. So
exactly. But I think that was my main thing, that yes, it's very authentic, but it also has some of those East and West sort of fusion thing that I think we've all grown up with now, you know, living in this global society that we live in. And that's what I love, you know. I love the fact that people can just pop in there and say, right, you know, what am I going to cook today? You know, but it's again very authentic as well. So yeah.
And when you buy the book, y'all, do not save it for special occasions. Incorporate it into your everyday meal planning. You know, if you're going to do your Southern pork chops, do Ashia's Daddy's rice.
Rice. Yeah.
I mean, that's what the fusion and incorporating all the different flavors and, you know, bring the globe to you. And guess what? You don't even have to go through TSA. You'll be eating Indian cooking and not having to go through security. So
exactly. No, it is beautiful. And I think a lot of the inspiration has come from my mum, who, you know, like I said, was doing fusion cooking right from when we were little. So that's how we grew up. We grew up eating, you know, spicy shepherd's pie. So I don't know whether shepherd's pie is something that you guys eat in the US, but it's a very sort of a traditional English thing. And growing up in the UK, mum would do shepherd's pie, but with spices, you know. So so that's what I mean when I say fusion. So
absolutely.
And adding spice doesn't mean hot. It just means different types of flavor. I think sometimes people say, oh, spicy, is that hot? But it's actually not.
No, it's just it's expanding the flavors beyond, you know, just what you're used to. And it's really pretty phenomenal. Well, I have to jump off because I'm going to a birthday party, Ash. And it has been just an incredible honor to be with you. And I will be using many of your recipes. And I cannot wait for your next book to come out.
Thank you so much.
I want you to send me some of your energy pills, whatever you're taking, whatever you're doing.
Thank you so much, Ally. But yes, I'm going to be on here for a little bit longer just to answer some questions and talk a little bit more. But lots of love to you.
Thanks for joining us, Ally.
Oh, it was so great. When I'm in the Washington area, I'll come by Book Larder. Yes, you better believe I will. Bye, everybody. Great being with you. Bye.
All right, Ashia, I did want to jump on and follow up with a few questions here. And anyone else that is watching, feel free to drop your questions into the Q&A box, and we can definitely make sure we get those answered for you. I'm curious, you kind of mentioned how your passion for this kind of food was ignited just from being homesick and wanting to really bring in those flavors from your upbringing. I'm curious what led you to want to kind of share those with the world, you know, go beyond just cooking those for yourself and your family, and really kind of how did you get into being, you know, a food person that shares that far and wide?
So one of the reasons was that when I was so far away from home, so I arrived in New Zealand 25 years ago. And one of the reasons I came here was that moving from Africa to the UK was a big culture shock, I suppose. So, you know, grew up in Africa till we were about 16, my twin and I, and then we had the two younger sisters. And then having to move to the UK where the culture was completely different. You know, growing up in Africa, we would grow most of our own vegetables. We had, you know, a chicken coop, you know, we had chickens in the backyard, eggs. So all that was very accessible. And then moving to the UK, where the space is limited, you know, we didn't have a garden to grow our own vegetables. The seasons are different. And then when I moved to New Zealand, I missed all that, you know, and I missed cooking, sitting down to dinner with my family. You know, at the time, all the girls were at home and mum and dad were busy working. I was the one that used to come home from college and cook the evening meal. And I love doing that. Nice. So, you know, and then sitting together at the end of the day, talking about our days. There was 6 of us, and eating together was just one of those amazing things that I just think is not, doesn't happen anymore because everybody's so busy. And I kind of felt like when I came to New Zealand that I wanted to do that. And when I once had a family, I wanted them to appreciate my heritage. My kids are mixed race, and they're Kiwi, they're half Kiwi and half Indian. And I kind of felt like I had a story to tell because we're all global. We move from state to state, I suppose, in America, and leave your state, and all the states are different, right? For the type of foods that you have. So for me, moving from the UK to coming to New Zealand, I just kind of wanted to bring a little bit of home with me. And I felt that, doing the book would be amazing because that way, if my kids decided to travel, they could take my book to the US or wherever, and they had a little bit of home with them. And I felt that sharing that with the world would be amazing,
Oh, well, I so agree. It is such a beautiful gift for all of us to have. And I do love the perspective that, as you've been talking about, it does run the gamut from the kind of what you might expect from an Indian food book to some that are a little bit more of your family's take on things, a lot of the East meets West, and a lot of it. And you do make sure that it's really accessible for us, which is so wonderful. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's see other questions we've got here. So it is just starting to be summer here in Seattle. I know it's just about starting to be winter for you. I'm curious as to some of your seasonal favorites from the book. So maybe if you have 1 or 2 favorite dishes for summer or for winter, we'd love to hear about that.
So one of the things I think, we do a lot of barbecues here. Kiwis are very into their barbecues. And there's some lovely things that you can, as we say here, chuck on the barbie. So, there's things like the spicy corn on the cob. I think that's, that's really lovely.
Oh, I've been eyeing that recipe. It looks so good.
It's so good. So you could do that. Or the other ones are my vegetable kebabs. So, just putting vegetables or you can use halloumi cheese if you can't get paneer.
Perfect.
And you marinate that with a spicy rub and you put them on the barbecue. Again, you can do the same with fish. There's a fish one there, so you can marinate that and put that on there. So for summer, that's great. And
that's wonderful.
What we do here in New Zealand is we do a lot of Alfresco dining. So in the summer we're outside the whole time. We're literally living outside. We're cooking outside. So there's a lot of things in here that you can use that for doing that. So the chicken, rather than roasting it in the winter, you would put it in the oven, roast it in there. But in the summer, you would, use the same spice rub, put it on the barbecue. So there's some lovely, easy things to do to inspire people.
That.
Yeah.
How about some of your cozy favorites for the colder season?
Oh, yes. So my mum's chicken biryani. Oh my God. So this is a very traditional dish that is warming, it's spicy, it's got layers of curried meat. So it could be, it could be anything, beef, chicken, venison, whatever. And then you layer it with rice. And it's just the most beautiful dish that you could serve if you were doing winter entertaining. And another one that I love is again something I grew up with, so my spicy shepherd's pie, nice, real comfort food. You've got the potato on top, you've got the spicy mince, so something like that is really lovely. There's a couple of lovely casseroles. I don't know whether you probably should have cassava, which is kind of like a yam.
I think so,
so it's a chicken casserole with cassava, and that's on 116. Oh my God, that is I call it my hug in a bowl.
Oh, I
And
love that.
you would put that by the fire with a big bowl of that, with a squeeze of lemon juice. Oh my God, just amazing.
Amazing. Oh, let's see. Nayla C has a question. Do you have any African favorites in the book, or kind of what is inspired by maybe your childhood in Africa?
Africa. Yeah. So I think, I don't really have any African recipes as such. Maybe the cassava and the sweet potato was probably one of the ingredients that we had over there, because I think what happened when we moved to Africa was that there was a big Indian community. So you kind of tend to eat the food that you're familiar with, but then use the ingredients that are readily available. So over there, sweet corn was a big thing. A sweet potato was a big thing, and cassava was a big thing. So again, one of the things that I loved about those ingredients was there's a lovely dish in there called fried cassava chips. And they are like potato, or I think what you call fries. Made with cassava. Oh my God, they're so yummy. So that was something that we did eat a lot of in Africa. I'm trying to find where it is.
I think I recently flipped by that page also.
It's in the sides page, I think. On the side, I think it is.
Okay.
And, here it is. Cassava fries. Just beautiful.
Oh my gosh, so beautiful.
So what I do with these is you can either, so you have to boil the cassava, and you can either fry it on its own, and sprinkle some chili or salt on it, but the other way I like doing it is just dipping it in egg.
Interesting.
Dipping every one individually in egg and then frying it, and it just gives it this lovely crispy coating, and it's so good.
Oh, that's so interesting. Almost like a light batter, not fully battered, but just totally. A little bit.
It's so good. Yeah. So cassava and sweet corn were the things that we sort of ate a lot of growing up in Africa.
Oh, that sounds so good. Okay, let's see. What other questions do we have? So I know you are, as you mentioned, a very busy woman. What are some very kind of simple things that might be, the easiest to kind of get started with, or if someone that isn't as familiar to this type of cuisine, what are some things that you could suggest as a good starting point?
Look, one of the dishes that I make that all my friends, my Kiwi friends, started with this book was the butter chicken. Butter chicken is not a traditional Indian,
right.
But people seem to love it. But it's so easy to make. You just marinate your chicken in beautiful spices and yogurt, and then you I usually put it in the grill. So, but you could griddle it or put it under the grill. And then you make the sauce, and that's a lovely simple one to do, and that's really popular with kids as well, because it's not very hot in spicy, too hot. And the other one that again friends love is my coconut chicken curry. That's really lovely. Again, it's very mild. So they're both actually one after the other. So one's butter chicken's on page 88, and curry is on page 90. And that's what this looks like.
These both look so beautiful. And I just wanted to mention, like, the butter chicken, it has, some might be a little intimidated by this ingredient list, but I really think it's all things that are very easily available. And what's nice about this is you're almost letting your pantry kind of do the work there. Once you sort of have those ingredients, then the dish itself looks like it's pretty, quick and straightforward. And so it's almost like one of those magic tricks that you can kind of pull off.
And I think if you buy the book, I would recommend getting that list of ingredients, because you're going to use them again and again.
Absolutely.
And they're just and they're easily accessible,
absolutely.
So no, that's
I love that. Well, you were talking a little bit about your desserts in the back of the book. I absolutely love this chapter. It looks so gorgeous, and I'm so excited to get my hands on your newer book. Hopefully it comes out in the US for.
I hope so too.
But there was one in particular I wanted to ask you about because it was just so stunning. Hold on, let me find it. Oh yes, this pavlova with the rose cream.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration here? It's just so stunning. Oh, my green screen is making a little wonky, but it's so beautiful. It's just so show-stopping. When I came upon that page, I was just stopped dead. Yeah, there you go. I was just stopped dead on my tracks. I'd love to hear a little bit about how kind of the inspiration of just how you put that together.
Yeah, look, pavlova is a very Kiwi thing. Now, Aussies would actually argue with that, but we won't go there. That's a story for another day. But it's a very Kiwi thing. And obviously I married my husband, who's a New Zealander, and his mum, Wendy, makes a pavlova for every family gathering. And she just whips it up, you know.
Wow.
It's great. So but always traditionally, she's always just you know made the pavlova, and then she'll put on some cream on it and maybe some kiwi fruit, you know, and that's it. So I thought, how can I use the kiwi pavlova but add some Eastern, you know, touches to it?
I love that.
So yeah, so I and meringue is obviously quite you know, it's a very specific ingredient ratio, and you don't want to mess with it too much. So I don't want to you know, add spices to the meringue or anything like that, because you don't know how it's going to turn out. So so what I did was you know, made the meringue, which is my mother-in-law's recipe, the same way, but then the toppings were very Eastern based. So you know, I put drops of rose water in the cream. Rose water is just beautifully, you know, it just smells amazing, and that just kind of makes it into a more Eastern sort of a touch. And then I did some salted caramel shards. So they're the gorgeous shards that you can see over there.
So stunning. I love those.
And they had some ground cardamom through them. So that was something that, you know,
wow,
Eastern element.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, and then and some sea salt flakes. And then the topping was berries, chopped pistachio nuts, and some pomegranates. So pomegranates, again, very sort of interesting. So you know, you can just play around with that and do you know, whatever you like. But that to me, oh, and then I sprinkled some some dried Persian rose petals. So it just completely elevated it to, you know, a mixture of East and West. You've got the pavlova, which is very Western.
Yeah.
That are very Eastern. So yeah, it is one of my favorites as well, actually, dessert to do. So yeah, no, that's a real showstopper.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I was not expecting to see something like that in this, you know, I was flipping through this book, and when I got to that page, I was just stopped in my tracks. It's so stunning. So I love how you just brought your own twist to that. It's such a great example of really the whole spirit of your book, which is that beautiful East meets West, and you know, really inspired by everywhere you've lived and traveled, and everyone in your family. So I just love that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other favorites you want to talk about?
Yeah, so one of the other ones that it's a dessert favorite, actually. I mean, I talked about the Gulab Jamun earlier on with Ally.
Yeah.
But one that is such an amazing favorite, and if you have the book, honestly, I really encourage you to try it. It's called where is it again? It's my carrot halwa. Now, it is the most stunning dessert you will ever eat.
Wow.
Now, it's not too sweet. The carrot itself is got the sweetness, but it caramelizes. So you grate carrots, you cook them in milk. So a lot of Indian desserts are milky based desserts, but I know this sounds weird, but honestly, take my word for it, it is the most divine dessert ever. So you would grate the carrots, you cook them in milk, and And once the milk has been absorbed and evaporated, you would then add some sugar and butter and then caramelize the whole mixture. And you can put, you know, raisins and things in there, but I tend to leave it because I just love the taste of the carrots on their own. And then serve it with mascarpone cream, which cuts into the sweetness. But oh my goodness, it's one of my favorites. It's yeah.
Amazing. I love that you pointed that out. I mean, do you guys have carrot cake down there? We have a very, it's a bit more of an American thing. Okay, yeah. So it's very kind of almost reminiscent of that with the you know, kind of we I guess usually use more cinnamon, but with cardamom that sounds delicious. And you know, if you do decide to put raisins, but I think in my mind, you know, carrot cake with like a cream cheese frosting is very classic. So I love this spin on that, or just, you know, kind of a different direction of that with the carrots and then both with the milk and then with the mascarpone. That sounds so delicious.
So lovely.
Wow.
But I think that's the thing with the book. It's you know, you pick it up and you see it, and when you look through it, yes, it's different, and it's you know, there's a lot of authentic recipes in there because that's how I grew up eating. But then because we've had such a varied upbringing, you know, from going from Africa to the UK to myself coming here, I just kind of felt like I'm a global citizen. So you know, I want to reflect that in my cooking, and show people that that's how we live now. You know, that we live, you know, we live in America, but we're eating something from India. You know, and things are so easy accessible that people are and I think people are trying different things. You know, our palates are changing. Where
absolutely,
you know, every day, I think even cooking at home every day, when we wouldn't eat Indian food every day, we'd eat Italian, English, we'd eat. So I think a lot of people are doing that. So, you know, it's such a lovely way of bringing other foods and cultures into your home.
I love that. It's such a wonderful invitation to also just kind of almost continue the journey and, you know, invite your readers to also put their own spin on it, you know, with whether it's the ingredients that are available to them, you know, and see how that will influence something, or just kind of to keep on riffing. Yeah, I just love that. It's such a wonderful wonderful soul to your book, and it's just such a beautiful invitation for us. So thank you so much.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you for you know, having me on.
Oh my gosh, this has been so wonderful. Well, congratulations on the beautiful book. It's been such a delight to talk with you. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much. See you later.
Thanks, Ashia. Bye.
Bye.